welcome back to Black Bougie and a Little Nerdy. Today we'll be making shrimp Rasta pasta.
Amazing. And I'm about to take a little taste right now.
Rasta pasta is basically a Jamaican take on like shrimp Alfredo. No one knows exactly like who invented it. They said a lady on the island, she invented it for workers, and they used to make it with tomato sauce. So it's been updated and upgraded and used Alfredo. What we're gonna do first, I already started chopping up garlic. Let's see. You're going to need 3 cloves, but I use a whole bulb of garlic, so this is a bulb. And these are cloves. I like to use the big fat ones. So I've already peeled them and I started chopping. Now I left one with peel on. So to get the skin off, all you're gonna do is just take your knife, lay it flat, take your palm, wrist, whatever, and then just crush down on it, and it's gonna pop off all of the skin. And keep you a little trash bowl on the counter or in the sink so you can put all of your food waste. And if you have a compost bin like we had, you can throw it in the compost or just throw it in the trash can. All right. So, all right. I'm just going to chop this up now. Okay. So there's like 100 different recipes out there on how to make Rasta pasta. I find the easiest thing to do is to start with the Alfredo base. If you know how to make Alfredo, which I'm gonna show you anyway, then you just build upon that with all of your island Caribbean ingredients to make it a Jamaican dish. So I'm gonna finish chopping up this garlic. Alright. Oh, and while I'm doing this, I'm gonna go ahead and turn my water on for my corn. We're gonna boil water. We need it for corn. And I'm gonna go ahead and turn the water on for my pasta that we're gonna need for our Rasta pasta. So turn this on high heat. Okay. And let's see. Add a little salt, a pinch or 2 pinches to the water for both of them. And then to the water for your pasta, I always add a little olive oil, a dab of olive oil. Okay. And then for my corn, because we live in Louisiana. Alright, so for the corn, I'm boiling my water. I added a little salt, and I'm going to put a little Cajun, well, crab oil in here. I just a couple of splashes. Alright. That's gonna start boiling. And then the water for my pasta, I've added olive oil and a little salt. It helps it with the sticking so your pasta's not stuck together. And you're supposed to always salt your water when you make pasta. Right. So go ahead and finish this so we can move on to the next. All right, so we have our garlic chopped up, and we're gonna move on to our bell pepper. Now, for Rasta pasta, you need 3 bell peppers, tri-colored. So you need a green, a red, and a yellow. I've already sliced and cut up the orange and red, and I'll show you how to do this one. Just go ahead and cut off the top. Oh, and a fun fact, bell peppers with 4 bottoms, is that 4 bottoms? Whatever. With 4 bottoms, it's a female bell pepper, and ones with 3 at the bottom are male. That's cute. The inside. You want to get all the seeds out of the bell pepper, so just pop the inside of it out once I cut the top off. See, wipe the seeds out. Cut it in half. Oh, look, it looked like a booty. Alright, so I'm just gonna take my hand to kind of flatten it so I can cut it into strips. Into strips. I got all my garlic cut. Now we're about to start on our roux, our sauce for Rasta pasta. So I'm gonna use the entire stick of butter, which is approximately how many teaspoons? That's 8. All right. So you need 8 teaspoons of butter, and I'll put the ingredients in the description box. All right. So now what we're gonna do? Our bell peppers are all cut into strips, melting down 8 tablespoons of butter. You're gonna melt it on medium to low heat, so medium low. All right. So, and while that's melting, I'm gonna go ahead and put our pasta in the boiling water so we can go ahead and cook and follow the instructions on the box. I'm using a penne pasta. So little ridges on them. All right. So just gonna cook that according to the instructions on whatever your pasta box says. And I'm going to take and stir this around too. Let's see. This is all in there. Right? Go ahead and stir it around. And I'm gonna set my timer for 12 minutes. And this is a recyclable box, so I need to break it down. Because we recycle, so whatever can be recycled, please recycle and save our earth. Alright, so our butter is starting to melt and sizzle. I'm gonna go ahead and add the garlic in there so I can saute it. Try to get all of it in there. And so you're gonna saute your garlic with the butter for maybe like 1 to 2 minutes until it's fragrant and you can smell it. Alright, so it's been about 1.5 minutes because I want my garlic to burn. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna add my bell peppers. I'm gonna cook them, but you're not gonna cook them all the way through. Just gonna let them cook for about maybe 3-4 minutes with the butter and the garlic. So it'll cook down. Okay. So I'm just adding a little bit of Jamaican Jerk Seasoning. You can find this at your local grocery store. And that's added to my bell peppers and garlic. And then this is just a little sprinkle of garlic powder, a little redundant, I know. And some pineapple Sonero blend. This you can't get in your local grocery store. Shout out to the Spicy. You have to go online. They sell these like once a month, but they're different curated boxes that you can get. Alright, so I'm just gonna let this cook in here because this is the base of our pasta. So while this is cooking, just give it a couple of stirs. You don't want it to burn or anything. And it is still on medium-low heat because our garlic we put in there first. So we don't want our garlic to at any point burn. Alright? When you're starting to cook, you need to check on your pasta and stir it occasionally as it's cooking because you don't want your pasta to stick to each other or stick at the bottom. So you just give it a couple of stirs throughout the whole boiling process. So for our roux, I'm going to add some chicken broth. Low sodium because there's already like a lot of seasoning in here. You don't want to add a whole lot of salt, high blood pressure. So I'm adding about 1.5 cups, almost 2 cups. Alright. so to that, I'm going to add some heavy whipping cream. So it'll be about the same, like 1.5 cups as well. Alright. So we're gonna kind of up the heat to medium. Alright, so I'm gonna stir this up a little bit, and it's already been seasoned because I've added the jerk seasoning and the pineapple serrano already, so you don't need to add any more, not yet anyway. So just gonna let this start, and I increase the heat to medium. Okay, so remember the water from our corn. This corn has already been cleaned off, all the husk and the little silk been taken off. So what I'm gonna do is I add this to boiling water. Okay, so we're gonna let this boil for 8 minutes, and I'm gonna add a whole stick of butter while this boiling. Just clop that on down there. So I've added the stick of butter to our corn, and it's gonna boil for 8 minutes. And let me stir our pasta. Add this entire bag, which is about 4 cups of Mexican cheese, and I'm gonna stir it in until it's all melted and in cooking. All right, so let me turn the fire off for that. All right, yeah, turn it off. All right, so I'm gonna dump the pasta. With cold water. So I added 2.5 cups of Parmesan cheese to it, and I'm just going to stir it until it's well melted into it. Okay. So I'm going to keep stirring this until it's well melted. And sometimes if your sauce is too thin, you can add a little flour to thicken it up, but because of the amount of cheese I use, we don't need to add any flour to our roux. The fun part now, what makes it jerk pasta, Rasta pasta. We're gonna add traditional Jamaican jerk seasoning, hot and spicy. Now be careful, if you don't like your food too hot, I would add maybe like a teaspoon of this. But I like Caribbean food and I like spicy. So we're going to add about 3 teaspoons to this, well 2.5. Yeah. Alright. And then you can always taste it and go back and add more. So what I'm gonna do now, since all my cheese is melted, I'm gonna go ahead and stir this in till it's well incorporated. Our corn has boiled. I'm just gonna stir this a bit, and I'm gonna turn the water off, and I'm gonna seal it with the lid so that the seasoning can all get in there, just like you do with the crawfish bowl. Alright, just let that sit while we're cooking still. Okay. Alright, so while my sauce is still cooking, I'm gonna go ahead and cut up some green onions. About just 3 stalks, and so I can add to it before we add the shrimp. Okay, so this is the fun part, and we're gonna add our shrimp. Now I seasoned these and let them sit and marinate for about 2.5 hours. Some 30 minutes is enough if you want. So I seasoned this with Jamaican seasoning as well as a little bit of the
the jerk seasoning. Well, I use two different jerks. So I use powder and I use the wet. And I just add a little bit more garlic to it and the pineapple seasoning. And so that the flavor could get into the shrimp and not just in the sauce. So it'll add a little bit more flavor. That's why I didn't too much season the roux. So just gonna place them in here, and then I don't dump them in there because you don't want any excess water to get in to your roux. So we're gonna put these in here and we're gonna let this. All right, so this is the last part. Our shrimp are pretty much cooked, and we're going to add our pasta and mix it in. So we can get. Alright, so I also at the end with mine, I just add a couple of dashes of lime juice. And stir that in. Right. And we're gonna let this cook a few more minutes, and then it's gonna be ready to eat. Cause I'm hungry. Alright, so when I was in Jamaica, I wasn't legal, first off, but you are legal at a certain, at 16, you're legal over there. So at the bar, I was like, I've never had no liquor. Right. But they gave me some pineapple juice and coconut rum. Until this day, that is my drink. Like, that's all I drink is pineapple juice and coconut rum. So we're gonna call this Jamaican Me Crazy, because I love Jamaica and I love everything Jamaica. So all this has in it is literally just pineapple juice and coconut rum. I put a couple ice cubes in here. You're gonna add some pineapple juice, about half. Just a little more. Right. And then I'm gonna top it off with some coconut rum. Alright, and it's as simple as that. Alright, so we have cooked our shrimp Rasta pasta and it's all done. As you can see, it smells amazing. And I'm about to take a little taste right now. It's so good. It has like the right amount of spice to it. It's not too spicy. It's just right.